Everyone praised the eldest and adored the youngest. The middle daughter was always forgotten. Even in her own home. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, there lived a family with 3 daughters. The eldest, Emily, was responsible, polite, and admired by everyone. The youngest, Sophie, was cheerful, cute, and constantly surrounded by attention. And between them was Lily, the middle child. Lily didn't stand out. She wasn't the top student like Emily, nor was she the playful charmer like Sophie. When relatives visited, they praised Emily for her maturity and Sophie for her energy. Lily was rarely mentioned, if at all. All 3 sisters lived under the same roof, went to the same school, and ate at the same dinner table. But life treated them differently. Emily was the achiever. Sophie was the favorite. Lily was simply there. One afternoon, Lily was walking past the living room when she overheard her parents having a quiet discussion. "She's at the right age now," her mother said. "We should talk to Mr. Bennet about his son." Her father nodded. "Yes. Jason is a good boy. Comes from a stable family." Lily paused. Mr. Bennet was their longtime neighbor. His son Jason had grown up next door. He was polite, friendly, and well-liked in the community. Lily quietly assumed they were talking about her. It made sense, she was the middle daughter, and finally, something might be going her way. After that day, Lily began to observe Jason more closely. She noticed how he greeted everyone politely, how he helped his mother with groceries, how he smiled when walking past. She didn't know him well, but the idea of being paired with him felt right. It gave her hope. Then she saw something unexpected. A few days later, Lily noticed Jason standing at the front gate, talking to Emily. It seemed casual, but they were laughing. Lily didn't say anything and went back inside. But it kept happening. Jason and Emily would talk in the driveway, sometimes outside school, and even at the grocery store when their families ran into each other. Then one evening, Lily overheard her mother again. "Jason really seems to like Emily. Maybe we should consider her instead." Her father didn't object. That night, Lily stayed quiet. There was no argument. No reaction. But something in her changed. She had thought this proposal was hers. It was the first time she had felt chosen. But once again, Emily was ahead. The pattern was clear. No one asked Lily how she felt. No one even told her they had changed plans. She wasn't included in the decision. She wasn't consulted. She simply faded back into the background. Again, from that point on, Lily stopped engaging much at home. She became more withdrawn. Her sisters didn't notice much, or maybe they thought she was just moody. Her parents never brought up the topic again, at least not with her. Lily didn't say a word, but inside, a quiet frustration started building. This wasn't about Jason anymore. This was about being noticed. Being chosen. Being seen. But she wasn't. Not by her family. Not by him. Not by anyone. She thought he was meant for her. But he was already choosing someone else, and that someone was her sister. Lily's routine didn't change much after she overheard her parents discussing Jason's interest in Emily. She still helped around the house, attended college, and joined family dinners. But now, her mind stayed busy watching 2 people, Jason and Emily. She started paying more attention to where Emily went, who she spoke to, how long she stayed outside. Most of the time, she noticed Jason wasn't far. Jason began visiting their house more frequently, often under the excuse of returning borrowed items or dropping something off from his parents. He always greeted Lily politely but didn't linger. His eyes usually searched for Emily, and when he found her, the conversation would flow easily. Short laughs, light teasing, and relaxed silences. Lily sat quietly during these interactions. Often in the same room, pretending to scroll on her phone or read a book. She saw everything, heard everything, but no one seemed to notice her. Her parents noticed Jason's presence more, too. "Such a well-mannered boy," her mother said. "And Emily seems to like him. I think it's a natural match." Her father replied. No one asked Lily what she thought. No one even remembered that they had first considered Jason for her. One evening, while helping in the kitchen, Lily asked casually, "Weren't you and Dad thinking of Jason for me?" Her mother gave a distracted answer. "We were. But things don't always go as planned. Emily and Jason seemed to get along better." Lily didn't respond. She didn't argue. She just nodded. The next day, Jason's family was officially invited over for dinner. It wasn't labeled an engagement discussion, but everyone knew what it was. Jason came dressed in formal clothes, his parents brought dessert, and Emily was told to wear something nice. Lily wore plain jeans and a sweater. No one commented on her appearance. No one asked her to help greet the guests. During dinner, conversations centered around Emily's studies, Jason's new job, and how both families had known each other for years. Lily sat at the table, mostly silent, occasionally asked to pass a dish or refill a glass. Once the guests left, Lily cleared the table while her parents praised Emily. "He's a good catch," her mother said. "Smart, polite, well settled. You're lucky." Lily didn't respond. Later that night, she sat by her window, staring at the Bennett house across the street. Lights were still on. Jason was probably in his room. Maybe texting Emily. Maybe planning their future. It wasn't anger she felt, it was something else. Something still, something stuck. She had never been asked how she felt. The entire situation had shifted without her input, and now, she was expected to smile through it. In the following days, Lily's behavior grew colder. She answered questions with one-word replies. She avoided conversations. Her mother thought it was just a phase. Emily was too focused on Jason to notice anything off. The one person who did ask her if she was okay was Sophie, the youngest. "Lily, you don't talk much these days," she said. "Is something wrong?" Lily shrugged. "Nothing important." Sophie didn't press. From the outside, everything looked normal. But inside Lily's world, a quiet resentment was building. Not because she didn't get Jason, but because no one cared that she didn't. She wasn't prepared for the moment they made it official, right there, in front of her, as if she didn't exist. Days passed quietly after the dinner with Jason's family. The house remained busy, but the focus shifted completely toward Emily. Her phone buzzed more. Her outfits changed. She smiled more often and helped her mother with meals and chores more than usual. Lily observed, but said nothing. She moved through her days like routine, mechanical, present, but unbothered on the surface. She still shared the same room with Sophie, still had meals at the same table, but she barely spoke. Then one afternoon, everything became official. Lily returned home from her class and found the living room decorated with fresh flowers. There were boxes of sweets on the center table and new clothes laid out in her parents' room. "What's going on?" she asked, directing her question toward Sophie. "They finalized Emily and Jason's engagement date," Sophie said casually. "His parents came this morning. They made it official." Lily didn't say a word. She walked past her and went straight to her room. No one had told her. No one had waited for her to be home. No one had even asked if she wanted to be there later. That evening, relatives began calling and visiting. Everyone congratulated Emily. Her friends came over. Her mother took out old jewelry to show what she planned to give at the engagement. Her father called it a perfect match. Lily sat through it all, on the edge of sofas, beside groups of chatting guests, and at the dinner table where laughter floated around like she wasn't even there. One aunt leaned over during dinner and said, "Don't worry, Lily. You'll find someone soon too." Lily gave a tight nod, not bothering to reply. Her room became her safe place. At night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling while Sophie slept next to her. She heard her mother and Emily talk softly in the next room, discussing rings, dresses, and plans. That weekend, the engagement took place at a small venue nearby. Family and close friends attended. Jason stood beside Emily, smiling for pictures. Their names were written together on a decorated board behind them. Lily stood in one of the corners, wearing a pastel blue dress her mother had handed her without comment. She posed for photos when asked, but quickly moved out of every frame. As soon as she could, she heard whispers, some wondering why she looked so distant, others commenting on how happy the couple looked. No one asked Lily what she thought. No one remembered she was ever considered for Jason. When the function ended, Lily stayed back to help pack things while Emily received compliments. "She looked beautiful, didn't she?" her aunt told their mother. "Perfect for Jason," her mother replied. That night, Lily didn't join the family in the living room. She went to bed early and stared out the window. Jason's car was parked in their driveway, waiting to take Emily out for dinner. Lily watched from behind the curtain as her sister stepped out in a black dress and heels, laughing as Jason opened the car door for her. They drove off. She let the curtain fall back into place. Nothing was hers anymore. She stayed quiet for weeks, until the day she finally exploded. And the house couldn't ignore her anymore. It started with small things. Lily began skipping meals, ignoring chores, and avoiding family discussions. When asked a direct question, she answered with short, flat replies. Her mother thought she was just overwhelmed with college work. Her father didn't notice much at all, but tension had been building for too long. One morning, during breakfast, her mother asked Emily what color theme she wanted for the wedding ceremony. Emily smiled and suggested something soft and elegant. Their father nodded in agreement. Lily sat across the table, stirring her spoon in cold cereal. No one had spoken to her, and she wasn't asked for input. Again, out of nowhere, she said, "Are we just going to pretend I was never considered in the first place?" Everyone went silent. Her mother paused. "Lily, it's not about pretending, then what is it?" Lily interrupted. "You said you were arranging it for me. Then you gave it to her." Her father sighed. "Jason chose Emily. It wasn't anyone's fault." "You didn't even ask me how I felt," Lily said, her voice louder now. "You just handed it over." "We thought you'd understand," her mother said. "You're not a child." Lily stood up, pushing the chair back hard. "You didn't think at all." She left the table, walked into her room, and slammed the door. The outburst became a turning point. From that day on, Lily argued more. She questioned decisions, snapped at Emily, and refused to help with wedding preparations. When relatives came over, she stayed in her room. When her mother asked her to behave, she said, "You already made it clear where I stand in this family." Emily tried to speak with her once. "Lily, I didn't plan this. It just happened." Lily replied, "Of course it did. Just like everything else in your perfect life." Emily didn't try again. One night, during a family dinner with Jason present, Lily made a scene. She accused her parents of betrayal and said they humiliated her by pushing her aside. Jason remained silent. Emily got up and left the table halfway through the meal. After that, her father told her clearly, "Enough. You need to stop this now. This wedding is happening, and you need to accept it." Lily didn't respond, but she didn't stop either. Her mother eventually suggested that it might be time to consider Lily's marriage as well, to change the topic, to calm things down. A few distant family friends were contacted, and one proposal came forward. He's stable, a few years older than Lily, but from a good family, her mother said. Lily was told about it, not asked. "This will help you move on," her father said. She didn't argue. She didn't react. A few days later, the engagement was finalized. No celebration. No excitement. Just arrangements, quiet and formal. Lily stayed quiet through it all. She didn't want the match. She didn't care about the boy. But no one listened, and now, she was being sent away, not as a bride full of hope, but as a problem to be removed from the house. They thought marrying her off would calm her down, but it only made her resentment worse. Lily's engagement was rushed. There was no grand event, no real discussion. The man's name was Daniel. He was polite, in his early 30s, worked in real estate, and lived in a nearby town. His family seemed respectable. That was enough for Lily's parents. Lily didn't ask questions. She didn't say yes or no. She simply followed the instructions given to her. The wedding date was set within a few weeks. Preparations began, but they lacked the enthusiasm that Emily's wedding planning had brought. There were no extra decorations. No photo sessions. Just basic arrangements. Her parents told her, "It's for your own good." Emily told her, "You'll feel better once you start fresh." Lily remained silent. On the wedding day, she wore the dress chosen by her mother and sat through the ceremony with a blank expression. The guests offered forced smiles. Some whispered about how fast everything had happened. Others avoided commenting. Altogether, Daniel seemed kind, but distant. He tried to talk to her during the ceremony, but she barely responded. After the rituals, Lily left with him, quietly and without a smile. Her new home was clean and organized. Daniel's parents were formal but polite. They didn't ask much from Lily. Daniel gave her space. He asked if she needed anything. She said no, but what no one knew was that Lily's mind wasn't in her new home. It was still back with Emily and Jason. She kept thinking about the dinner table, about the decorations, about the way her family looked at Emily's engagement and wedding with pride. Her own marriage felt like an afterthought. Like something her parents had done to remove a problem. Daniel noticed the silence. He once asked her directly, "Are you unhappy here?" She replied, "I don't belong here." He didn't ask again. Lily avoided conversations. She didn't show interest in adjusting. She refused to attend family events or gatherings. When Daniel's mother suggested they go out or take a small trip, Lily declined. After a month, the tension became more visible. Daniel confronted her again. I know you didn't want this. But I deserve at least some honesty. If you're not willing to try, then tell me. Lily said, you were never the issue. When he asked what the issue was, she said nothing. Eventually, Daniel spoke to his parents. The conversations grew serious. One morning, Daniel asked her if she wanted to continue this marriage or end it. She said, do whatever you think is best. 2 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. Lily returned to her parents' home. There was no celebration. No tears. Just a silent return, with a suitcase and a signed paper. Her mother looked disappointed but said nothing. Her father didn't bring it up. Emily was already married by then and living in another city with Jason. Sophie was the only one who asked, are you okay? Lily replied, it doesn't matter. Now, she was back where it all began, but colder, angrier, and more distant than ever before. She came back to the house she grew up in, but this time, with no interest in peace, only in proving a point. After her divorce, Lily moved back into her childhood home. Her room hadn't changed. Her bed was still by the window. The walls were the same color. But nothing about her felt the same. Her mother tried to keep things quiet, not telling many relatives. Her father returned to his usual schedule, barely speaking to her. Sophie noticed the silence, but she had learned not to ask too many questions. Lily spent most of her time alone. She didn't help around the house, didn't go out, and barely answered calls. When her mother asked her to go back to college or apply for jobs, she said, later. But it wasn't just withdrawal. Her behavior shifted completely. She started questioning everything her parents did, why they gave Sophie more freedom, why Emily still visited and received gifts, why no one cared how she felt about anything. Even casual conversations turned into arguments. Her mother once said, you've changed, Lily. Lily replied, maybe I should have changed a long time ago. When Emily came to visit with Jason, Lily avoided them at first. But one evening, she walked into the living room while they were having tea. She sat down without greeting anyone and joined the conversation halfway. Jason tried to be polite. How have you been? Lily answered, better now that I know how temporary everything is. Emily shifted uncomfortably but didn't respond. Their mother tried to steer the topic back to something lighter. After that visit, Lily started making more direct comments about Emily's life, about Jason, and about the way things had turned out. One afternoon, Lily's mother confronted her. This can't go on. You're upsetting everyone. We tried our best for you. Lily looked at her and said, no. You tried to get rid of me. There's a difference. Her father overheard the conversation and stepped in. You're not a victim, Lily. You had a chance. You didn't want it. That wasn't my choice, she said. You decided for me, remember? From that day, her relationship with her parents grew more tense. They stopped including her in conversations. They avoided discussing Emily or anything related to Jason in front of her. Even Sophie grew distant, unsure how to talk to her anymore. Lily remained in the house, but she didn't feel like part of it. She watched her sisters move forward, one happily married, the other preparing for university. She stayed in place. Sometimes, she stood by the window at night, looking at the empty street. Other times, she sat for hours without saying anything. There was no sign of change, no effort to move on, only silence, and underneath that silence, something quietly building. The youngest sister thought she could ignore the tension, until she found something hidden under Lily's bed. Sophie had been avoiding Lily for weeks. The mood in the house had shifted. Everyone walked on eggshells around her. But one afternoon, while cleaning the shared hallway closet, Sophie realized she'd misplaced her old sketchbook. She remembered she might have left it in Lily's room months ago. Lily wasn't home. Sophie knocked once, then stepped inside. The room was dim, the curtains drawn as usual. Everything looked untouched. Sophie moved quickly, checking the shelves, then under the bed. That's when she found the small cardboard box. She didn't mean to open it. But curiosity got the better of her. Inside, she found printouts, screenshots of Jason's photos, their wedding pictures, comments from Emily's social media, and notes scribbled on the back of receipts. Some were marked with red ink. Others had angry phrases underlined. There was a journal too. Sophie flipped through it. Most entries talked about Emily, her choices, her life, her success. Page after page, Lily had written about being overshadowed, replaced, wronged. Sophie closed the book and stepped back, unsettled. She placed everything back where she found it, left the room quietly, and didn't speak about it for days, but something had changed. She started observing Lily differently, how she stared at Emily during visits, how her tone shifted around their parents, how nothing in her life moved forward. Then, one night during dinner, Lily suddenly spoke up. "She's not better than me, you know," she said without context. Everyone went silent. Their mother tried to dismiss it. "No one said she was." "But you think it," Lily replied. "You all do." Emily was there that night. She simply stood up, took her purse, and left. Jason followed without saying a word. Their father sighed, placing his fork down. "Enough. Stop turning this house into a battlefield." But Lily only stared ahead, expression blank. After that, visits became less frequent. Emily stopped coming. Jason didn't call. Their parents grew more cautious, asking Sophie to avoid sharing family updates with Lily. Sophie, however, couldn't forget what she'd seen. A week later, she quietly told her parents. At first, they didn't believe her. Then she showed them the box, the notes, the journal. Her father read through the entries in silence. Their mother stood frozen, a hand on her mouth. "She's not well," the mother finally whispered. "This isn't normal." They discussed options, therapy, counseling, but no one knew how to approach Lily. She wasn't open to conversations. She didn't listen. She denied everything. They didn't confront her directly. Instead, they decided to monitor her closely, hoping she would calm down, but Lily knew. She could feel the shift in the air. They started locking drawers, speaking in lower voices, watching her movements. It wasn't hard to notice, and the silence that once kept her company started to feel like a wall closing in. The family tried to handle it quietly, but Lily wasn't unaware. She knew they had seen everything. After Sophie found the journal and told their parents, Lily started noticing the subtle changes. Her mother no longer left her alone in the house. Her father double-checked the medicine cabinet. Sophie avoided being in the same room with her. And no one, especially not Emily, talked to her anymore. Jason didn't come around at all. He had stopped responding to messages months ago. Emily kept her distance and had changed her phone number. At first, Lily pretended she didn't care. She still went to work, still posted carefully selected photos online. But her behavior at home became unpredictable. She stopped eating with the family. Her bedroom door stayed locked at all times. Sometimes they'd hear her pacing at midnight, sometimes complete silence for days. Then she quit her job without explanation. Her mother asked about it. Lily shrugged. Didn't feel like going anymore. Her father suggested therapy, but she snapped. "You all think I'm crazy now?" They didn't push again after that. Weeks passed. The house grew heavier. Sophie focused on her studies. Emily stayed away completely. Only their parents tried to hold the family together, but Lily kept slipping further. Then one afternoon, Sophie returned from class and found Lily sitting alone in the dark living room. The TV was off, the curtains drawn. Lily didn't speak. Sophie quietly walked past her, pretending not to notice. But before she could make it to the stairs, Lily said something that made her freeze. "He still looks at me," Lily whispered. "Even if she doesn't know it." Sophie turned slowly. "Jason hasn't been here in months." Lily smiled faintly. "That's what you think." Later that night, Sophie told their parents. They checked with Jason. He hadn't contacted Lily. Not even once. In fact, he'd blocked her on everything. That confirmed it. Lily was creating her own narrative now. A version of reality that no longer matched the truth. Her parents made a quiet decision. It was time to seek professional help, whether Lily agreed or not. But when they tried to bring it up, Lily locked herself in her room and didn't come out for 2 full days. She missed meals, ignored phone calls. Her parents considered calling someone, but didn't want to escalate things publicly. On the 3rd day, she came out as if nothing had happened. Calm, polite, detached. She told her mother, "You don't have to worry anymore. I've made peace with everything." They didn't know whether to believe her. That weekend, Sophie found Lily sitting on the porch staring at an old photo of Emily and Jason. She said nothing. Sophie went back inside and told her parents again. "She's not okay. Something is going to happen." They were already aware, but helpless, they kept telling themselves maybe Lily would recover if given space. Maybe time would fix it, but Lily wasn't waiting on time. She had made her own decision. And by then, no one could stop what was coming. The signs were there. But the silence made it easier to ignore, until it was too late. It was a Monday morning. Quiet. Normal. Sophie had just left for class. Their parents were in the kitchen discussing bills. Emily hadn't been seen in weeks. Lily's door was closed. As usual, her mother knocked, like she always did, and asked if she wanted breakfast. No answer. She knocked again. Still no answer. It wasn't the first time Lily had ignored them. But something about that morning felt heavier. Still, her mother waited. An hour passed. No sounds from inside the room. Her father decided to open the door. The moment he stepped in, everything froze. Lily was lying on her bed, fully dressed. The window was open. A folded piece of paper sat on the side table. Her face was pale. Her body still. The ambulance came, but it was already too late. The paper beside her was a letter, neatly written. No tears, no scratches. Just a final statement. She had written about how no one ever understood her. How she had loved Jason. How she had hated watching Emily win again and again. How she felt invisible in a house that only noticed her when something went wrong. She ended it with one line: "If no one will hear me while I'm here, maybe they'll hear me after I'm gone." News of her death didn't spread right away. The family kept it private. Emily was informed quietly. She didn't speak. Didn't cry. Just stared blankly and nodded. Jason sent his condolences. He didn't attend the funeral. Sophie stood quietly the whole time, numb. Their parents tried to hold it together, but the silence Lily left behind was louder than anything she'd ever said. The house changed. Her bedroom was left untouched. The windows stayed shut now. No more arguing. No more footsteps at midnight. Emily came home once, weeks later. She stood outside Lily's room for a long time, then left without saying a word. There were no public tributes. No long posts. Just a name on a stone and a gap no one knew how to fill. The middle daughter, the one who always felt overlooked, was gone, and now everyone noticed. Lily was gone. But her absence lingered in everything. The family tried to return to normal, but there was no going back. Her parents stopped arguing about small things. They spoke less, moved slower. Dinner was quieter. No one brought up her name, but her presence stayed in every room. Sophie started waking up early, cleaning the house before school. She kept Lily's notebooks and art supplies untouched. She never said it, but she missed her sister. Emily returned for the holidays. She brought gifts, stayed for dinner, and left early. She no longer fought or raised her voice. But her eyes never landed on Lily's bedroom door. She had changed. Her relationship with Jason had ended soon after Lily's funeral. Quietly. No fight. No closure. Just distance. Jason never contacted the family again. He moved cities and changed jobs. Sophie once saw his engagement post on social media a year later. A different woman. A different life. Emily got a job overseas. Before leaving, she stood in Lily's room one last time. She didn't take anything. Just looked around, walked to the window, then left without a word. She didn't ask to keep in touch. She didn't say goodbye the usual way. Her flight took off the next morning. Sophie stayed close to home. She finished school and helped with errands. She didn't go out much. Her friends tried inviting her, but she always declined. Her parents sold the house after 2 years. They moved to a smaller town. A quiet neighborhood. Fresh start, they called it. But they kept Lily's journals in a sealed box. The new owners of the old house painted everything. Lily's room was turned into an office. The garden was replaced with concrete. People forgot, but not the family. They didn't talk about the incident, not even in therapy. The report had said it was planned. Calm. She had timed everything. There were no red flags. No warnings. Just the feeling afterward that something had been broken for a long time, and no one had noticed. Years passed. Sophie eventually became a teacher. She focused on middle school kids. She always paid attention to the quiet ones. Emily returned once, after 5 years. She had changed cities again. Still single. Still moving. At dinner, she finally spoke. She said she had loved Jason, but she always knew it wasn't real love. It was competition. Pride. She said Lily had loved deeper. But no one had ever listened to her. She didn't stay the night. Sophie visited Lily's grave once a month. She never brought flowers. Just sat and talked softly. The world moved on, as it always does, but for those who lived with Lily, nothing ever really returned to normal. She had left quietly, but her silence had changed everything.